think we're live on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Let's go? So, let's go. Boa noite a todas, boa noite a todas, boa noite a todos. Estamos aqui mais uma quarta-feira no nosso bate-canal, no nosso bate-horário, para mais um episódio da série de Webinários do IBPC. Estamos na segunda temporada, Os Convidados. Hoje, a nossa convidada super especial é a diretora executiva da Academia Internacional de Profissionais Colaborativos, a Tamar-Mattis. E quem vai conduzir essa conversa essa noite é a nossa presidenta querida, a Olivia Fürst. Enquanto o pessoal está chegando aqui, pegando sua pipoca, achando seus lugares, acomodando a almofada, pegando um chá, alguns já estão no vinho a essa hora, vou fazer os nossos tradicionais anúncios para daqui a pouco a gente começar o papo com a Anne. Um anúncio muito importante para esta noite é que hoje a maior parte da conversa será feita em inglês, porque é o idioma que a Anne se comunica, e a gente vai, eventualmente, alguma questão que vocês queiram, a gente vai ter a participação direta, normalmente, no final, mas depois a gente vai providenciar as legendas para quem quiser acompanhar este papo no nosso canal do YouTube. Já se inscreveu? Se inscreva! Clica lá, receba as notificações, comente, participe, divulgue. Além dos webinários, tanto a primeira temporada agora como a segunda, nós temos o nosso material, os filmes, as animações, alguma parte do material usado nas capacitações. Vá lá, assista, divulgue, avise os amigos. Muito bem, falando em amigos, falando em rede, você já se associou ao IBPC? Você já faz parte do maior diretório de profissionais colaborativos do Brasil? Por enquanto, único. Se associe. Se você tiver alguma dúvida ainda, entre em contato com a gente em associação@praticascolaborativas.com.br. Não perca essa oportunidade de fazer parte do maior diretório de profissionais colaborativos, encontrar seu grupo de estudo e ainda ganhar descontos com os eventos e cursos dos nossos institutos e instituições parceiras. Além disso, o associado do IBPC escreve e manda seus textos para os escritos colaborativos, que a gente publica uma vez por mês na nossa página do LinkedIn. Aliás, já se conectou conosco lá no LinkedIn? Vai lá também, hein? E a gente envia por mala direta um artigo científico, um artigo mais técnico falando sobre os meios consensuais de resolução de conflitos que abordem as práticas, e um outro artigo, um escrito, uma crônica, um conto de ficção que você pode mandar. Mandem, teremos o maior prazer em ler, enviar para o nosso conselho editorial, avaliar, dar as dicas e poder publicar e a gente seguir divulgando e ampliando a nossa rede colaborativa. E hoje vocês vão ver que a nossa rede colaborativa está cada vez maior, está cada vez mais mundial, global, abraçando o mundo nesse papo que a gente vai ouvir daqui a pouco. Bom, vocês já seguem a gente no Instagram, lá nós estamos 24/7, nos stories diariamente, com publicações, com as novidades, e, muito importante, nós também estamos publicando a agenda dos encontros dos grupos de estudos abertos no Brasil inteiro. Afinal de contas, uma das vantagens da pandemia, uma das poucas vantagens dessa pandemia, mas muito importante, é o fato de que agora a gente se conecta com o mundo inteiro, com o Brasil todo, e podemos participar um dos grupos de estudos dos outros em qualquer estado do Brasil. A nossa agenda está lá no Instagram, ela é replicada no nosso Twitter também e no nosso Facebook. Então, siga-nos, acompanhe-nos, multiplique, divulgue e vamos aumentar a nossa rede colaborativa no mundo e principalmente no Brasil. Aqui no Brasil, a gente continua também com a nossa campanha de apoio às pessoas que precisam de uma consulta pontual, tanto do profissional da saúde mental como do profissional do direito ou das finanças, durante a pandemia, durante essa crise do Covid, enfim, que está todo mundo com as vidas tão confusas. Se você é um profissional colaborativo e quer ser voluntário nessa campanha, escreve um e-mail para a gente no colaborativocovid19@gmail.com. A nossa querida Valquíria vai colocar o profissional em contato com a pessoa que precisar desse auxílio. Então, se você está disponível, escreva um e-mail para nós em colaborativocovid19@gmail.com. Muito bem, então, dados os avisos iniciais, falando um pouco das nossas redes sociais, me lembrei de uma coisa super importante. Estamos começando as capacitações em práticas colaborativas online. Sim! Migramos para o online, vamos poder voltar a capacitar as pessoas do Brasil todo e agora mais gente junta aqui no Zoom, virtualmente, poderemos fazer esse trabalho. Quem está interessado deve fazer sua pré-inscrição enviando um e-mail para contato@praticascolaborativas.com.br e fica sabendo em primeira mão sobre as datas, os valores, corpo docente, como participar, como se inscrever. Então, se você quer se capacitar ainda esse ano, não perca a chance e mande um e-mail para contato@praticascolaborativas.com.br. A nossa primeira capacitação online, que na verdade já é a nossa 18ª capacitação nacional, começa agora no próximo dia 22 de setembro. Então, não perca essa chance. Teremos outra capacitação em outubro, em novembro também. Mas se inscreva, garanta o seu lugar. Vai ser um prazer aumentar a nossa rede de profissionais capacitados com a presença de vocês. Então, vamos lá. Faça a sua pré-inscrição em contato@praticascolaborativas.com.br. Estamos aqui, as pessoas estão chegando, nossas queridas profissionais da saúde mental, Marilda está aqui, Suami está aqui, Silvana de São Paulo sempre presente, Renata Ferrara, querida, aqui participando conosco, e vamos passar então para a nossa conversa entre as nossas queridas presidentas, Olivia e Anne. Tudo bem, a Anne não é presidenta, ela é diretora executiva, mas para nós vale como presidenta. Aliás, eu não posso deixar de dizer que muito nos orgulha a nossa presidente Olivia, essa semana ela fechando um sucesso que foi o Chá das 5 com Olivia Fürst, que aconteceu durante todos esses meses de pandemia, terças e quintas, às 5 horas da tarde, Olivia estava lá tomando um chá, trazendo um papo gostoso com várias pessoas, mas essa semana Olivia está totalmente presidencial. Ontem a gente ouviu o papo da Olivia com o presidente da OAB Nacional, Felipe Santa Cruz, aliás, colega de faculdade da Olivia, foi um papo ótimo, delicioso e com muitas novidades. Vamos aguardar, viu, presidente? Todos nós ouvimos que teremos uma comissão nacional de práticas colaborativas na OAB, hein? Então, aguarde-nos, presidente. E hoje a Olivia esteve reunida com outro presidente querido, o Rodrigo Faria, ótimo, o Rodrigo da Cunha Pereira, presidente do Instituto Brasileiro de Direito de Família, para um papo ótimo, super bacana, sobre direito de família, sobre histórias, psicanálise. Foi uma delícia escutar vocês. E agora, Olivia, mais uma vez presidente presencial, conversa com a nossa querida Anne Tamar-Mattis. O pessoal do cerimonial aqui do IBPC não aguenta mais tanto presidente. É muita faixa, é muito ritual, a gente está aqui muito louco correndo atrás da nossa presidenta. Então, boa noite a todos, sejam muito bem-vindos e vamos começar essa conversa deliciosa. Olivia, a palavra é sua e vamos em frente.
Olá, boa noite a todos. Marília, obrigada. Obrigada pelas palavras, e até parece, né, que a gente tem essa coisa de presidentes e tal, mas a gente é um coletivo, acima de tudo, somos um grupo, trabalhamos em grupo, gostamos, caminhamos em grupo e as coisas só acontecem porque estamos em grupo. Eu vou pedir licença, vou começar a falar inglês, porque a nossa convidada, né, fala inglês e o nosso combinado, então, é que a conversa vai ser toda conduzida em inglês e depois a gente vai colocar as legendas para que todos possam acessar e ouvir, tá bom? Então, hello, and Tamar-Mattis, welcome. Thank you for accepting our invitation for you to come and stay tonight with us. And I would like to introduce you to our Brazilian friends, colleagues, people, collaborative professionals, and other professionals that wants to know more about collaboration and gets to know IACP and the work that it's done in IACP. and to present and to bring closer to the Brazilians and all, I think, all groups that are interested in get to know more about this world of collaborative practices. Okay, so Tamar-Mattis is the Executive Director of IACP, the International Academy of Collaborative Professionals, since 2017. She is a collaborative lawyer, a civil rights advocate, and the founder of the Interact organization. And Tamar, be very welcome. And we would like to get to know a little more about yourself, your path, your story, and then we can talk about work and everything else, and IACP and IBPC, okay?
Okay, thank you. And thank you for inviting me tonight. It's an honor to speak with this group. I only wish I could be back in Brazil. I was there last September for your conference, and I see a lot of friends that I made in Brazil here, and I just wish that I could be there. But if I can't be there, Zoom is the next best thing, and I guess we're all getting used to that. So Olivia asked me to tell just a little bit about myself. I have only been involved in the collaborative world since 2017, when I became executive director of IACP. Before that, I spent a lot of years, even before I went to law school, as a civil rights advocate and activist working in the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community in the Bay Area of California, which is where I've lived for 25 years. I went to law school to just further my skills at helping the community and further my skills at reaching justice for people. And right after law school, I founded the organization Olivia mentioned, Interact, which was the first organization in the world that advocated for the civil rights of intersex children. Those are children that are born with bodies that have some male and some female characteristics. And they often suffer discrimination, and they often suffer really horrific abuse at the hands of the medical establishment. So I was doing a lot of work for many years at the border of law and healthcare, but also a lot of work in family law as well. And family law is always an important part of advocacy in the lesbian, gay, bisexual community. So I brought that background. I had also been, by the way, teaching sexual orientation in law at UC Berkeley School of Law for several years. I still do that once in a while. And so it was with that background in family law that I came to IACP, and with that interest in justice and in families. And I think one of the threads that's run through my work my whole life is advocating for people to have control over their own lives and to have the autonomy to make their own decisions. And that fit really, really well with the collaborative model. So it was very exciting to me to be able to move into an organization that had this international presence, but was really working on a very local level to help change the lives of individual families and to help families and individuals have autonomy in terms of how they shape and reshape their families. That was all very familiar to me. And I learned very quickly about the collaborative practice part of it. But that's a little bit of my personal history and how I came here to this organization.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. That's so great for us to get to know you better. And now I think we would like to know a little bit of the story of IACP, how it started, IACP's mission, how IACP works. IACP is our big reference. It's all the inspiration we get to build our institute, the Brazilian Institute for Collaborative Practices, come from what we learned with you. So we would like to hear a little bit about the story of IACP. And
sure, I will share a little bit, and you may have other thoughts you want to share or questions you want to ask. I want to start by saying this organization has been around for 20 years. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary, and collaborative practice was around for a good number of years before that. So collaborative practice is something that's been around for a very long time. And both collaborative practice and IACP are really the life work of a fairly small group of people who invented collaborative practice, who expanded on it and made it better, and then who really made it their mission to teach it and spread it around the world. And I'm very aware that I came late to this game. I'm very aware that I've only been here since 2017, and I'm always afraid to talk about the history because I'm afraid I will get something wrong or I will leave someone out. So I'm just acknowledging that. I hope I don't get anything wrong or leave anything out. And there's a long history of IACP up on our website if anybody wants to see. But I'll just ask pardon in the beginning if I forget anybody that I should have mentioned. Collaborative Practice was the person who's credited with being the founder of Collaborative Practice is a man named Stu Webb in Minnesota, who was involved also with IACP and remains involved. He continues to be a presence at our forum and at some of our webinars. At first, Collaborative Practice was just something that was done by lawyers. It was a way of resolving disputes out of court for families that did not involve lawyers. That did not involve courts or judge, but where the lawyers would help the couple come to their own agreement and decisions and do that outside of court. Early on, after a few years of Collaborative Practice, they started bringing in financial professionals and mental health professionals. And a lot of that work was done by a woman named Peggy Thompson, helped laid the groundwork for that. And there came quickly the realization that maybe divorce, which is one of the primary family issues Collaborative deals with, maybe divorce wasn't just about law, but was much more about emotions and relationships. And that maybe mental health professionals might be better situated to help couples come to their own decisions in some cases than the lawyers who really, we come from a perspective of knowing the law. But in some ways, the law isn't the most important thing in resolving these disputes. And the community also learned early on then that bringing in financial professionals brought another professional perspective and new solutions where, the lawyers or the mental health professionals might not be able to see the complexity of a financial situation or all the options that are out there. Sometimes you can resolve a dispute by bringing more options to the table, and often the financial professionals are the ones who can generate those options. And so working in these multidisciplinary teams quickly became one of the primary models for collaborative practice. There are too many people for me to list who were involved in those early days and in starting to do collaborative practice. It started in Minnesota, but there was quickly sort of a hotbed in California and in other parts of the United States, New York, Massachusetts. It caught hold pretty quickly. Some of the leaders in those early days are still involved now, folks that are well known in Brazil because they came down and did some of the teaching in Brazil, like Pauline Tesler, Nancy Cameron, Yuval Berger. So some of the early founders of collaborative practice, in addition to changing the way they practiced with their clients locally, they realized that they had something really important and useful that they wanted to help spread around the world. And a lot of the early founders really spent a lot of time, a lot of their own money, a lot of their own energy traveling around the United States and soon around the world, helping to build collaborative practice in many, many places. So the mission of IACP now is to transform the way families resolve conflict by building a global community of collaborative practice and consensual dispute resolution professionals. And that mission statement actually reflects one of the most recent evolutions at IACP, which is that we recognize more and more the role of consensual dispute resolution professionals who might not be technically doing collaborative. They might not sort of check off all the boxes that make something collaborative, but that there's, however you resolve your dispute, there's a community of professionals growing around the world that recognize that families are better off coming up with their solutions outside of courts, and that families can come to their own decisions better than any decision a judge could make for them. And so we really recognize that as a core part of our mission. We're focused on collaborative. We're focused on working with collaboratively trained professionals because we think that collaborative training really impacts the way the professional practices, regardless of what model they're practicing in, whether they're doing a mediation or something else or doing an actual collaborative case. But we're really opened our doors now to a lot of other groups as well. So we work a lot with mediators. A lot of our members are mediators, and a lot of our other professionals are also trained as mediators. And in the 20 years that IACP has been around, this idea has really taken hold and spread all over the United States, Canada, and now really around the world. So we have trained people and members on every continent except Antarctica. I hear that's because penguins mate for life, so they don't need collaborative professionals. but I'm sure we'll get down there eventually. If I can screen share, Olivia, I've got a graphic I can show. We have members right now in 25 countries around the world. And
just give us, yeah, no, go ahead.
I'm not going to read the whole list, but that's our graphic of all the places where we have members. As you can see, things are just starting to take hold in South America, and Brazil is a very big part of that. And it was very exciting for me last year to get invited down to Brazil because while I know collaborative is still fairly new there, I think a lot of the leaders in the international community look at Brazil as a model of how collaborative can catch hold and how it can spread very, very quickly. And I think we're all very impressed by what an amazing job you've done there at really getting the word out and getting people trained quickly, getting materials translated quickly so that professionals don't have to always work in English, but can work in their native language. And I think we're really looking to Brazil as a model for the rest of the world about how collaborative can really spread and take hold. And so that's one reason we're very, very excited that Olivia Fürst will be joining our board of directors in October and helping to do all the things she's done in Brazil, helping to bring that to the rest of the country. So that's my long answer. Did I miss any parts of the history?
No, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I'm very honored to be part of the IACP boards in October. And I hope to correspond to the IACP expectations. And I think it's going to be very important to the collaborative professionals community in Brazil to know that we have that connection. And we can talk about that a little bit more, but I would like to ask you, is IACP a non-profit organization and it works in committees? And could you tell a little bit about the structure of how IACP works? Yeah,
I can, and I'm really glad you're asking because I think a lot of people in the world think IACP is bigger than we are. So we are big in terms of our membership. We have thousands of members in 25 countries around the world. We have a staff of 5. I am the only attorney on staff, and we do an amazing amount of work. I'll run through some of the programs that we have in a minute. But one important thing I think for people to understand is we are a nonprofit or an NGO organized in the United States. We get almost all of our funding from member dues. And the rest of our funding comes primarily from forum registration and donations from our members. So we're really funded, we're a project of our members. And the way I see it is IACP is a way for members to pool their money and do more together than they could do separately. And we don't only run on the memberships and the donations we get from members, but we also run on volunteer labor. So the number keeps changing, but we have about 15 committees at IACP. And those 15 committees are volunteers. They're board members who are all volunteers. And then also other volunteers join the committees. So we have 14 people on the board right now. Each of them runs a few committees, some of them together, some of them separately. And each of those committees has between about 5 and 10 people on it. So that's a pretty big volunteer core. And those are the people that do the real work of IACP. The paid staff, what we do is mostly support the work of those committees. But I think it's really important to understand that this is a volunteer organization and it runs on the energy of the community. It runs on the money of the community and it runs on the labor of the community. And it's a place where any collaborative professional can have an impact. We open our committees once a year. We'll be opening again in October, asking for new applications for the committees. And really any collaborative professional who's a member of IACP can join and can take part in those committees and really be one of the people that's shaping the future of collaborative going forward. And you can work your way up on those committees onto the board. And that's a real way to have a very big influence on collaborative practice around the globe. So some of our committees do things like we have an access to collaborative committee that's working on creating and spreading models of collaborative that serve lower income communities and pro bono work and things like that. We have a standards and ethics committee. They set the official international standards and ethics for collaborative professionals around the world and then make adjustments to those standards as necessary. And they also serve to answer ethical questions that professionals might have. We have a membership committee and outreach that helps with just reaching out to people around the globe and helping to bring them into collaborative practice. We have a practice group development committee that supports the work of practice groups. So we know that practice groups are a critical part of making collaborative practice work. And practice groups have challenges. And one of the things we've learned over the years is often they have the same challenges around the world. So for example, a very typical challenge will be a few people in an area get trained collaboratively, they get very excited about collaborative practice, they throw their professional lives into building their collaborative practice and making it work and building their practice group. And then about 5 years later, some of them start to get burned out because it's all they've been doing forever. And things fall off. And that's when we often get a call by somebody saying, well, my practice group is falling apart. And, you know, we've been working so hard for years and we've had all the success, but now our leaders are exhausted. And our practice group committee will tell them that happens everywhere. And this is part of the life of a practice group. And here's how you get past that point. Here are the things you need to do to deal with that problem, or here are things that have worked in other parts of the world and other areas. So a lot of what IACP does is we're a channel for ideas. So we have a saying in the United States, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. If somebody else already invented the wheel, just use the wheel, don't invent your own wheel. And we help people not reinvent the wheel because we're in touch with groups all over the world that are having these problems and solving these problems. And then we try to help spread the word to other groups so that we can learn from each other and always be solving new problems instead of solving the same problems over and over. So our practice group development committee, one of the things they do is they have a call every 2 months that leaders of practice groups can just get on a Zoom call and trade ideas with each other. We have a new equity and inclusion committee that's really focused on increasing the diversity of the collaborative profession and increasing the diversity of the people we serve. And Olivia has been on that committee with me. And I understand that now Brazil has started their own committee. So that's the kind of thing we try to do. We hope that if we put out something that's useful, that other people will copy it. And then we'll be wanting to work with Brazil to elevate that model so everyone else can see what you're doing too and how it works. And, you know, hopefully other communities will be inspired to do the same thing.
Carol is the one is the big responsible, right? Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So there's a whole list of committees on our website. You can see what the different committees are, but that gives you an idea of how we do our work. I also want to say another very important piece is our faculty. So there are a lot of trainers out there that do collaborative training privately, and they're very good. And we also wanted to make a model of low-cost training available for communities. And that's what our faculty does, is that we offer a low-cost model for training. We're now offering those trainings online. And we've recently doubled the size of our faculty. So we now have faculty members on 3 continents, including we have a number of faculty members in Brazil. As that community has grown, some people have moved up and stepped onto our faculty. So we do introductory training. We also have a website that is really full of resources. So the website is www.collaborativepractice.com. And anyone who goes there can see a lot of the different resources we have available, but we also have a special resource section that's just for members. And in there we have things like tools for practice groups. So for example, if you were starting a practice group, you might say, well, what are the bylaws we need for our group? And you can look at models in the resource section. You can look at models of practice group bylaws from different groups around the country. Or you can say, well, we need a participation agreement. But you don't have to draft it from start. You can go to the member resource section and you can find many different groups' participation statements. And then you can take that and adopt it to your own laws in your own community and make it something that works for you. We have other kinds of resources as well, like flyers and brochures and things like that, that people can print out, put your business card on it, use it to educate your clients. So we try to make it as easy as possible for people to practice, and we try to create as many resources as we can for people to use. We also have educational resources. So we publish a journal called the Collaborative Review twice a year. And all the back issues of the Collaborative Review back to whenever it started, 2003, 2004, are up on the website so that people can read all those articles through the years that different experts have written. And there's a lot of other stuff like that on the website. That's just sort of I'm just touching on the different resources that are available, but those are some of the things we do to try to foster conversation in the community and try to help professionals that are getting started, or not just getting started, but have a new problem or a new thing that they want to learn. We have a blog, and one of the biggest, most important things we do every year is the forum. So how many people on the site with me now have been to a forum? A few. We get a lot of Brazilians there every year. The Brazilian contingent is getting bigger and bigger, which is very exciting. The forum is our annual international conference. And so it is the largest gathering of collaborative professionals in the world. We generally do get people from many continents. We generally get about 400, 500 people every year. This year, of course, because of COVID, we have moved the forum online. And that is especially exciting to us because we think we're going to get even more people involved. And it's much more accessible. People don't have to buy a plane ticket or pay for a hotel or worry about a passport. You can just log on and you're going to be at the forum. And because it's online, we've been able to spread it over many more days. So normally at the forum, we run 14 workshops at a time, and you have to choose which one of those 14 you're going to go to. And the most you can go to is about 3 or 4. But this time we've spread it over more days. So there's going to be 32 workshops, and you can't go to all of them, but you could go to a lot of them spread over 4 days. And if you register for forum, you get recordings of all the workshops as well. So this is one of the really exciting new opportunities we've had this year, is to really make the forum more accessible to everyone. And I hope we're going to get a lot of people from Brazil. And we are working now with IBPC to provide some workshops that will be translated. So we're still working on the details of that, but we're hoping that we're going to have a good number of workshops translated into Portuguese, and also to have closed captions in English, so that people who maybe English is their second language, if it's helpful to see it written as well as spoken, we'll have that available as well.
This is wonderful news, and I would like to share with you and with everyone that is listening to us my experience going to the forum. When I first started studying about collaborative practice, it was back in 2011. And I read on the bottom of the books, and I was starting to get to know a little more. And I decided to go to the forum all by myself in 2012 in Chicago. And it was an amazing experience because I get in touch. I started to get to meet and to listen in and to have classes to those professionals and authors of the books I was reading. So I had the opportunity to get to learn with people from all over the world about exactly that experiences, how it works, what not works. And it's such a high energy and enthusiasm. And I always felt like going to meet my family, my people. I felt so much connected that I had since 2012, I came every year. I missed 1 year. The 2017 that we were organizing the first Brazilian Congress for Collaborative Practices, but to me it's like mandatory. I have to go so I can feel my energy up. I get a lot of inspiration connected to other professionals, and especially getting to learn to people that we say here in Brazil, to drink from the fountain. Does that make sense in English? Yeah, so
it does.
We are going to drink on the fountain with the originals, where people that started with that. It's a wonderful experience that I recommend to everyone that is interested or is involved with any way in collaborative practices. I think it's an experience that no one should lose, and especially this year that we hope we will make some simultaneous translations into Portuguese.
And you make a really good point, Olivia, that I think this is a very exciting time to be part of collaborative practice, because you're entering the field in a moment where it's well developed. A lot of the lessons have been learned. I mean, there's more improving, more changing to do, more creativity to add, but a lot of the early problems have been worked out, and it's a mature, developed field, but you still can meet the founders, and it's still a small enough community that you really can, you can be at Forum and you can see Stu Webb and you can walk up to him and say, "Hi, Stu, I really admire you. I just wanted to shake your hand." You can take a workshop with Nancy Cameron or Pauline Tesler. And that really is, it's an amazing and unique opportunity to enter the field at a time like this when you can really learn so much from such a large community, but at the same time, be in touch with the people who started it all.
And Olivia, I'd like to add something about what Anne just told us. That's really true. We met Ron Auske, we met Forrest Molson and Stuart Webb and David Hoffman and everybody involved in Nancy Cameron, Liz Alexander, Pauline Tesler, and Jacinta Gallant, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And they actually welcome us. Mm-hmm. They embrace us. They talk to us. They ask us about how we are doing here in Brazil. How is going our practice? Mm-hmm. And I was talking with the study group from Curitiba with Stu Webb, and he accepted the invitation as he already known everybody, and we scheduled a Zoom with him and just share some ideas. And he was very, very receptive as always. And then he said that his experience in Brazil at the first Congress in Rio de Janeiro 3 years ago was that the first time he came down to the Congress, to the place, everybody was so excited to see him, to be with him. And he started being so welcomed and so embraced. And then he told us that he was overhugged, has such an enormous amount of energy that he had to go back to his bedroom to come down a little because he was amazed with all the things, all the energy coming from the Brazilian that was so excited to see him. And it was fantastic. They are lovely. It's a fantastic collaborative. This collaborative net in the IACP here at IBPC, it's very nice being part of it. We really feel that we are part of a movement that grows together, grows because we are working together. That's very nice.
I agree. And I felt that energy when I was at the Brazilian conference, and I feel it every year at our forum, that it's not a professional conference like any other. It's not, put on your suit and act serious and be bored. It's very friendly, very warm, very energetic. And a lot of people say what Olivia said, that it feels like coming home. And I hope for this year, if people are participating online, it's a little harder to create that environment online, but I hope people know you're going to be able to see on the platform, you'll be able to see all the people that are registered for the conference. You'll be able to see all the people that are in a workshop with you. And I hope you know that you can approach someone online and you can message them and you could say, I heard you talking in a workshop and I was interested in what you said and I have a question for you. Or you can say, I read your book and I really enjoyed it and I just want to say thank you. So I want people here to know that this is a very, very approachable community, and the people who have been around a long time are very interested and willing to share their knowledge and very excited to hear about what's happening in Brazil.
Yeah, and I would like just to say a little more about the forum, to remember that all of that connection and identification, but especially one, I think the feeling I have always when I come back to the forum is that I'm more rich with information. The forum is always thinking ahead. It's always thinking of what's new, what's coming. So I feel filled up with new information that it's been very useful to my practice, to my day-by-day life. So it's really an opportunity to learn and to think about our challenges and our future as lawyers. And, so I think I would recommend without hesitation anyone to go and to participate on the next forum. But Anne, I'm afraid of our time. We don't want to keep you so long. I know you have a very busy agenda and everything, but talking about that, I'll be joining the IACP board in October, which I'm very excited and feeling very responsible. It's going to be important to hear from you. What's the importance of having a South American collaborative professional in the IACP board, and what are IACP's expectations on our participation? And I'm talking about myself, but I'm talking as a group, because like you said, we work together, we are a group.
Right. I think it's very important that for the first time, we're going to have someone from South America on our board. IACP did start in the United States, and early on, much of the leadership was from the United States, and then from the United States and Canada. But we've really grown in our commitment to be a truly international organization, more and more. So a third of our board now is not from the United States. We have members in Hong Kong, Singapore. We had a member last year in Australia, and we will have a new member from New Zealand coming on. Our president is from Italy, but we haven't had somebody from South America before. And that's partly because before IBPC, there wasn't much of a presence yet in South America. I think there have been some efforts, but it hadn't caught hold before IBPC picked it up. And I think we all see the potential for it to spread more and more in South America. There is now a group of people that have been trained in Panama, but there's a lot of countries in South America that don't have any collaborative practice at all. And yet we have Brazil, which is one of the most successful models of how quickly collaborative can get started and how quickly it can grow. And so I think working together to spread and support, both to support collaborative in Brazil, but also to spread that to other places in South America is very important. And we really know that if you want to move into a community, you need people who understand that community. We know how much harder it is to support collaborative in Brazil when we don't have Brazilians involved. And we will want to get people from other parts of South America involved, but we know that, you know, when your neighbors in Brazil, you're going to have a better insight on how things work in the rest of South America than those of us from other parts of the world. So I think it's important on so many levels. It's important because Brazil has a lot to teach the world. It's important because IACP wants to really strengthen our investment in Brazil. And it's important because I think this is a good launching place for even more growth in South America generally. So that's all you have to do, Olivia. You can handle that, right?
Yeah, of course. You see this, I have all these people working together. We are a group, exactly. A very nice group of people with a lot of dispositions. That makes sense in English, with a lot of strength, and we are excited, and we are taking that opportunity with, you know, full presence and full heart. So count on us, because it's important to state that and to be saying that to the whole Brazilian community. Well, anyone else, would you like to make questions? Would you like to say something else? And before we start to get to our final part,
I just want to close by, well, before I take questions, I just want to throw out one invitation, which is for anyone who's not already a member of IACP, I want to encourage you to join. We are a movement of our members, and it's only through having members that we're able to do anything. And this year, if you're thinking of coming to Forum, the membership discount at Forum is bigger than the cost of membership. So it will be cheaper to become a member and then come to Forum than to come to Forum if you're not a member. So I really want to encourage people to take advantage of that. It comes with a lot of other benefits, but I really hope that you will all join us, because this is how we're able to work together and continue, you know, spreading the good news everywhere.
Fantastic.
And so,
and then
go ahead, Marilia.
Talking about being a member, thank you, Olivia. We had a comment at the YouTube by Jennifer. She's a lawyer, a collaborative lawyer in Curitiba, in the south of Brazil. And she became a member of IACP. She hasn't been yet to a forum personally, but she loved the IACP site and all the material available for the members. And she is saying that's very nice and everybody would get to know it.
I am so glad to hear that, and welcome to one of our newest members.
And I would like to remember, I'm not sure if I missed that, if you said that, but in the website there's of IACP, there's something that's so important that you can find the collaborative professional close to you. I always thought that tool was so important to build the connection. And when you become a member of IACP, you can be reached from any professional in the world. So you'll be in the scene of the collaborative professionals, just like we tried and we are doing here in IBPC, because I think that's a very, very, very important tool again, but a way to show to the society who are the collaborative professionals, who are these people, how do we present ourselves and our work to the world, to the society. So it's very, very important to use that tool and to be there. So it's important too.
Yeah, and I think it's also an important just for connecting around the world. So I hear from people who, when they travel and visit a community, they look up on our website who are the collaborative professionals there, and they go out to coffee. And you can do that in this community. You can say, oh, well, I'm going to Florida. I'll look up collaborative professionals in Florida, and you can call Bob Marlin and he'll have coffee with you. He's one of my board members. He'll be really happy I said that.
That's right. That's so nice. Well, anyone else would like to make any comment or questions? Are you okay? Are you shy because of the English? If you feel like asking in Portuguese, we can translate. Se vocês preferirem perguntar qualquer coisa em português, a gente pode traduzir. So, anything else? Marília, Carol, Anne, Bebel?
I don't have questions, but I have to say thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for IACP existing and bringing this idea to Brazil. And obviously, everybody in Brazil who had the work to bring it here, because it definitely changed our lives, the way we look work and we deal with people in general. Even in our private life, it helped. It's like it changed the way of life, really. And the way I think we can help the community to get closer to, we use here like is remaking the tissue, the net that we have that bring us together. So it's something that the world needs, and we are getting apart, and it's time to get people back together. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that, Bebel. Thank you, because we are all very thankful to IACP and to your presence here tonight. And so, are you ready to close the works, or?
I just want to say that it's important to say that IACP is always very open to all our requests and to exchange ideas and to collaborate with our institute. So it's important to say that not only personally, people are very open at IACP, but the institution is a very open institution, as we want to be here in Brazil too. So thank you again. It was very nice to have you here. And it was, of course, much, much nicer to have you in person 1 year ago here in São Paulo. I have the pleasure to have you with us, and you, Val, and Nancy, and Lisa. It was very, very, very nice.
Well, I will come back as soon as I can. And meanwhile, I hope I keep seeing you all on the internet. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, we have to have another caipirinha together then.
I've been learning to make caipirinhas. I've been working on it. I still have my bottle from Brazil, but there's not much left.
Yeah, so this pandemic needs to go away soon, because we need to get together and to have caipirinhas and to dance again like we always do, and always in the forum. Also, we forgot to say that there's a lot of partying and a lot of dancing, and I've heard there will be some surprises in this online, but I don't know anything. I'm just, putting that on the air. So it's always, and I think over everything we said about the forum and about meeting this IACP big family, is that we have a lot of fun together, and that's what makes life so good, and so to have this joy. So thank you again. Thank you, everyone. Obrigada a todos.
Thank you.
Good night. Take care. Be safe.
Eu acho que a Silvana quer falar alguma coisa e eu também vou dar mais um recado antes da gente fechar aqui. Silvana, diga lá.
Não, em português, só agradecendo a Anne e vocês por esse encontro. E agora eu entendi a Olivia se preparando às sextas-feiras. Eu não tinha entendido direito. Estou brincando.
Sim.
Preparando para o
fórum. Sim. Silvana, thank you.
Translate, please.
Yes, Silvana, thank you. Oh, there it is. Thank you, and Tamar. Silvana Capanari saying thank you to you and to IBPC, and teasing on me also.
Only a little bit.
So thank you,
Marília.
And thank you very much. I'm going to talk a little bit in Portuguese to close our meeting now, but thank you very much. Gente, muito obrigada pela participação de todos. Semana que vem a gente vai estar aqui no mesmo bate-horário, no mesmo bate-canal, e a semana que vem com a presença do Lucas Medeiros, neurocirurgião também, mas neurocientista, convidado da Comissão de Publicações para falar um pouco de neurociências, práticas colaborativas, e a gente já teve o prazer de escutá-lo, inclusive a convite da Comissão de Práticas Colaborativas da OAB do Rio, ano passado, pessoalmente. Então, o Lucas vem conversar com a gente mais um pouquinho aqui na semana que vem. Uma observação que eu queria fazer sobre essa noite, que eu tenho feito algumas aqui, tivemos uma noite exclusivamente feminina. Nossa plateia no YouTube, exceção de um pequeno convidado, pequeno pela idade, não pelo tamanho nem pela capacidade, a gente teve mulheres hoje aqui, e eu achei muito engraçado e pertinente comentar a respeito disso. E muitas profissionais da saúde mental, que eu agradeço muito a participação de vocês, é muito bacana contar com a presença maciça de vocês nos nossos webinários. E aí, só para aproveitar esses minutos finais, então, semana que vem, a gente tem o Lucas Medeiros, a convite da Comissão de Publicações, falando de neurociência. No dia 16 de setembro, a gente vai ter a Rede Colabora Nordeste. Vamos conhecer um pouco o que os nossos colegas do Nordeste estão fazendo, como eles estão trabalhando, conhecer um pouco mais esses novos colegas. Tivemos uma capacitação em Fortaleza, em fevereiro, no começo do ano, então engrossamos as nossas fileiras no Nordeste brasileiro. No dia 23 de setembro, a gente vai ter, durante o dia, o Congresso de Práticas Colaborativas promovido pela OAB do Rio, vai ser totalmente online, se inscrevam, participam, a programação está linda, com muitos debates, participação de gente do Brasil todo, os outros presidentes de comissões, nossa querida Carolina vai participar de uma mesa também, então não percam. E à noite a gente vai fazer uma conversa a respeito do Congresso e teremos a participação da Olivia Caetano, que é a presidente da Comissão de Práticas da OAB do Rio, que organizou o Congresso, e nós vamos fazer um fechamento do Congresso ao vivo, comentando, enfim, repercutindo um pouco todas as conversas que terão acontecido ao longo do dia. E aí, finalmente, no dia 30 de setembro, a gente encerra a segunda temporada de webinários do IBPC, Os Convidados, com mais um convidado internacional, dessa vez o John Sobrask, do grupo de Rochester, nos Estados Unidos. Ele vem a convite da nossa coordenação de parcerias internacionais, coordenada aqui pela Carolina Morsch, conversar um pouquinho com a gente. E o John vai falar com a gente em espanhol, então vai ser uma oportunidade da gente conversar mais diretamente, eu vou usar todas as minhas habilidades no portunhol, porque o meu portunhol é uma coisa maravilhosa, vocês não perdem por esperar. Então, a gente se vê semana que vem, neste mesmo bate-horário, neste mesmo bate-canal, e 24 horas por dia, 7 dias por semana. Estamos nas redes sociais, sigam-nos no Instagram, acompanhem-nos no LinkedIn, leiam as nossas postagens, acompanhem os grupos de estudo. Boa noite, se cuidem. Semana que vem tem mais.
Thank you, Anne.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne.
Merci.
Thank you, Anne.